Hello and a very good afternoon to all our viewers. You're logged on to Sri Lanka's #1 sports hub, ThePapare.com. Live pictures coming to you on Dialogue Television on channel number 77 and on My TV as well. We are here at St. Peter's College Grounds in Bandaranaike. A very important clash in the Singer Schools Rugby League 2019. It's going to be the clash that decides the league title as well. The Reverend Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy 2019, St. Peter's College taking on St. Joseph's. It's a game that a lot of us waited for a long time, a game that all of us anticipated, and finally we have this encounter. St. Peter's College going head-to-head against St. Joseph's College for this league title. It's a mini league title contest, I would say, because both these teams have their eyes on the league title, just that final few yards to go for that league title, and this game is going to be that game that's going to decide who takes the league title. Joining me alongside to talk you through this pre-game show is Abdullah Yusuf. Abdullah, very exciting week last week from Royal Complex. Now we have different conditions. What are your thoughts early in this game?
Yes, good afternoon, Inshaf. It's going to be a really exciting game. As you very correctly mentioned, the league title is up for grabs. Both teams will definitely want to try and get a victory here, as well as, if possible, just to try and get that extra bonus point, which will help their cause as well. Just come as we can have a look at the evening forecast for today. It's partly cloudy. The current temperature is at 31 Celsius, and it's expected to get slightly cooler later on during the day, but not much. But the good thing about it, the humidity level is relatively down, so I think that's a bit of a comfort factor to the players. So taking all that into consideration, I think we are in for a very exciting game.
Very exciting game indeed. That game against Wesley St. Joseph's playing Wesley College last Friday at London Place opened up the league. St. Joseph's ending their 6-match winning streak, and Coach Anuranga Valpola on your screen will know that he has his work cut out. St. Peter's College, a team that is used to be playing with the forwards, they've done well. In fact, they've done really well. They remember that game where Royal College were defeated here at St. Peter's College when that first game took place for the calendar year 2019 here at St. Peter's College Grounds, the newly built St. Peter's College Grounds. So it's going to be a huge task for St. Joseph's as well as they come here. I remember 2 years ago, I think they had a very comfortable victory, but things have changed from those 2 years.
Yes, this has really developed into a real rivalry over the last few years. I think it was in 2015 where St. Joseph's managed to break that long losing streak, and from then on they have actually managed to win this title over the last few years. So St. Peter's no doubt will be desperately looking forward to trying and getting this trophy back to Bandaranaike, and also a subplot to this whole thing will be definitely the one lie on the league title as well.
Memories from that 2015 encounter where Tariq Saleh and his team broke that winning streak of the Peter Wrights, defeated a very strong Kevin Dixon-led Peter Wright team that time at London Place. And since then, I think St. Joseph's College have been on the upside. They've come up, they put their hand up, they've put their hand up to one of the superior powers in the Singer Schools Rugby League. They were not so dominant in the past 2 years, but in the last 3 years, the way they've come up, I think that's something worth of praise. And not forgetting St. Peter, of course, they've got a new coach in division. I think from that win last year, Abdullah, at the Milo President's Trophy, they've come a very long way to this season.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of St. Peter's, they had that shock defeat in their first game against St. Thomas's at Mount Lavinia, but since then they haven't looked back. They've gone from strength to strength. They have won all their games. St. Joseph's, on the other hand, going through a shock defeat at the hands of Wesley last week. So it'll be interesting to see how far they will bounce back in this game. St. Peter's also coming to this game with a rather lackluster win against Isipathan, you'd have to say. Everyone expected them to comfortably roll them over, but Isipathan have really put in a good performance and ran St. Peter's really close. So it'll be interesting to see both these teams not coming into this game with their best performance of the season, but I'm sure this being their big match will definitely look to lift their game.
Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy always has lived up to the expectations. The Joe Pete rivalry, another rivalry in its own. The Josephians and Pete Wrights, they've had that rivalry existing in that cricket format, and now in this rugby format it has become very competitive all of a sudden, and everyone's focused on this encounter, and exactly why we see exodus amount of crowd also coming in slowly but surely. This new pavilion is going to be filled with supporters from both sides. St. Peter's College, St. Joseph's College, both have had their supporters coming in, rallying their teams. Tariq Maduranga on your screen, he'll have a lot to do. He remembers that game last time as well. He played a very crucial part, and I think the memories from the 2018 Milo President's Trophy final is yet fresh in these teams.
Yeah, that's right. But also with regard to this particular trophy, I think St. Joseph's have been dominant. St. Peter's managed to turn that tide around a little bit in last year's knockout league match. But I'm sure St. Peter's will want to go all out and wrest this trophy back, because it's a trophy that they have dominated many a time pre-2015. But since then, they haven't been able to get their hands on it. And I'm sure St. Peter's will go all out to try and get the trophy back to Bambalapitiya.
So that's the early prediction. If you're joining in right now, this is the Joe Pete Rivalry 2019, played for the Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy, live on your number one sports hub, ThePapare.com. We'll take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see what has fallen in the Singer Schools Rugby League 2019 and what's to come in this Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy 2019.
දැන් යහපෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රසයකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි?
සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් බුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්ටේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්ටේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා.
පදම වරුනේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්ටේ පදමට කහට.
I have news. Let's meet.
To be a man is to sweat for every last inch of it. The harder you push yourself, the louder your body will protest. From sweat to grease, grease to dandruff. Fight back with Clear Men, 2 times the fighting power of ordinary shampoos. Beat grease, beat dandruff. Unbeatable performance for the unbeatable man. Power through the odds. Clear, zero dandruff, nothing to hide.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම no limit.
දැන් Gold Dio body spray හඳුන්වා දෙන අලුත් මාදිලි 4කින් Blaze, Challenge, Storm සහ Rave. අදම try කරන්න Gold Dio body spray පැය 24 පුරා.
When she's special, she's not just a girlfriend. She is your sweetheart. When you feel it, you don't just call it sunshine. You call it warmth. When you reveal your deepest emotions, it's not just art, it's freedom. And when its essence is premium cocoa butter, it's not just chocolate, it's Ravello. Chocolate so special, you call it Ravello.
Drift in search of happiness. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
දරුවට දැන් හරි රස්නේ. ඔයා AC එකක් ගෙනාවද?
ලංකාවේ හොඳම තැනින් හොඳම AC එකක් පොඩි ගාණක් ගෙවලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඊටු ටික ගෙවන්න පුළුවන්. දරුවා සතුටින් තියෙන එක තමයි අපි හැමෝගෙම සතුට. ඒකයි මම සිංගර් එකෙන්ම AC එකක් ගත්තේ. සිංගර් වායු සමීකරණ සෙනෙහසේ සිසිලස.
Are you or someone you care about prone to heart-related illnesses? You can now rest easy with Avid Heart. Avid Heart lets you get a medical-grade EKG anywhere, anytime. Save a life and give yourself or loved ones peace of mind. Approved by the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. Avid Heart. Heart health at your fingertips. Purchase your Avid Heart device today for just 23,990 rupees and get a free My Doctor Couples package. Available at selected Dialogue customer care centers island-wide. Dialogue. The future today.
දැන් යහපෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රස එකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි? සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් බුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්ටේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්ටේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා. පදම වරුනේ. කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්ටේ පදමට කහට.
Stumble upon a surprise. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම No Limit.
Very good afternoon and welcome to ThePapare.com, and we're on live at this Josephs versus St. Peter's match, which is going to be an absolute ripper, because not only is it a traditional game with the crowds really excited at this prospect of a fantastic fixture, but also it could just decide the league. Abdullah Yusuf joins me in commentary, former Rahl captain, now looking over a game that is of magnificent importance. So that just shows how much, because I'm away from the Canon RSD Serum trophy and Abdullah's away from the major Milroy trophy game as well, Milroy Fernando trophy rather, and that just shows the importance of this game that we have been deputized for the commentary box in this possible league decider. Abdullah, we've seen we've seen St. Joseph's and St. Peter's go against each other for cricket titles before, and we've seen a massive rivalry, but we are seeing the building of a huge rivalry in the rugby arena as well, and this game is second to none in that aspect.
Yeah, that's right, Chandaka. I think in a pre-game show just a few minutes ago we were talking how the entire rivalry changed post-2015. Pre-2015, I think St. Peter's had dominated this encounter over 15 years. And since then, St. Joseph's have actually managed to annex this trophy continuously. And I'm sure St. Peter's will be desperate to try and get this trophy back to Bambalapitia.
And they're playing at home as well before their big new stadium, their swanky new stadium. They are the team to beat, to be fair. They've lost only to St. Thomas's in that early slip-up that they had. And St. Thomas's did pretty much all the other teams a favour at that point in time. I'm sure St. Peter's will be wishing they played that team a little later on in the season. This is the Josephian team still going through their paces. It's going to be a very, very important time for both these teams to come together and make sure that they don't make a mistake. Royal versus Isipatana is live right now. That's for the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy as well. Royal, after that shock defeat against Trinity last week, let's see whether they can pick themselves up against their traditional foes. And St. Thomas's take on Trinity, a resurgent Trinity team who St. Thomas's will be very worried by, because somehow you've been preparing for Trinity and then suddenly a different Trinity team turns up. It was like a Pakistan cricket performance, Abdullah, last week, because they played so outstandingly well that St. Thomas's would really have had to go back to the drawing board in this last week.
Yes, that's right. Trinity rather turned a really impressive performance. They managed to physically outmuscle Royal, which doesn't happen very often. And I think that went a long way in them managing to win that encounter. But both teams will desperately want to win that encounter as well, probably to end their season with some silverware. Both teams not being able to win any of their traditional matches prior to that, so I'm sure they'll be wanting to end the season on a high.
Looking at the results from last week, just coming up on your screens now. And that was the big upset, the one at the top there, the double blues of Wesley beating the blue and white Hornets of St. Joseph's, and that was the result that not a lot of people expected. A few of us did think that Wesley had it in them to create that upset, Abdullah, and that was the match that really turned the cat among the pigeons in this league.
Yeah, that's right. Wesley have really stepped up in this second round, haven't they? They've put in some really impressive performances. St. Joseph's, though, just did not execute as well as they could have. Maybe they could have played it a bit more tight, been a bit more confrontational up front. Decided to go wide. It's an area where Wesley are a bit more comfortable playing, and eventually paid the price for that decision. But I'm sure this being a big game, they'll definitely want to put that aside and rectify their mistakes and just try and win this match today.
So St. Peter's, today's defending, or today's favourites, I would think, given the fact that they're at home, lost out to Isipatana in the early stages of that game, but then managed to come through and win.
Yes, well, both these teams are coming into this game not on the back of their best performance. Wesley, I think, doing a number on St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's clearly not at their best. Although St. Peter's managing to win that game against Isipatana, they had to wait till the final moment to score a try and pull it out. So both teams will need to lift their performance for this game if they are to come on top.
St. Thomas's with a bit of a second half rally against Science College. It was 9-all at half time. St. Thomas's managed just at one score in the first half. But do you think that would have been enough when they're taking on the likes of Trinity today, Abdullah?
Yes, well, they'll definitely have to lift their performance. Science, it was very obvious, was struggling to physically compete with the Thomian forwards, and hence they managed to come out of that game victorious. So in that aspect, I think both teams will need to put in a better performance. Pack-wise, I think both teams are equal. Probably Trinity having a slight edge with regard to their three quarters. So St. Thomas's playing in their home conditions, I'm sure will want to try and just nullify the threat that the Trinity three quarters can pose.
Russian Bandaranaike with an outstanding performance in that last result. Trinity 24 points to 13. A bit of controversy over a couple of tries that Trinity scored, but the fact is they got over the line and almost got within a blade of grass of those scores, so that cannot be taken away from them. They played pretty well to do that. Royal in the end coming through that tried and tested patterns. Abdullah Fadil Adahan once again at the center of those moves, and he will be one that I think Royal will be looking forward to today to really take those leadership reins in the forward pack now without the experienced Militiamen Madhuvevan and people like that. They've got really good ranging runners, Achita Radeshan, Kevin Samarasekar, guys who play outstanding individual games, but they need someone to bring that pack together, and if they do, then Isipatana will have an uphill struggle.
Yeah, that's right. Even in that second leg, I think, again, it was the Royals tried and tested rolling maul that just managed to score those two tries and eventually helping them to annex the Bradby, although they lost the match.
Here's the points table. We have St. Peter's at the top. They've played a game extra, of course, so don't be alarmed if you're a Royalist or St. Joseph fan. We have 8 games played, so 5 points each for St. Peter's, Royal and St. Joseph's, which is why today's match is of vital importance as the number 1 team plays the number 3 team and the number 2 team plays the number 4 team. So Isipatana can't really jump a lot higher than 4th place. They're destined for 4th place, I would think, unless St. Thomas's manage to pull off a victory against Trinity today. Then they might go into 4th place if they manage to do that, because we are not really backing Isipatana against Royal. But of course, given yesterday's cricket result, much stranger things have happened in the world. Wesley versus Trinity, look for those two teams to trade positions as well. But Wesley have Science College coming up, so I don't think that they will drop any further down. But look for them to move further up. If St. Thomas's lose and Isipatana lose, which are both very distinct possibilities, then Wesley may end up in 4th position, which will not be something that they would mind, Abdullah. I don't think anybody else who's a neutral fan would mind that result either, because Wesley have been a good team.
Yeah, especially in this second round, they've definitely lifted their performance. They've got some wonderfully talented players in their lineup. Not the biggest team that is going around, but they have managed to find a way around that and have managed to get some good results. But just look at this points table. I think it's great. We're in the penultimate week of this Singer League title, and everything to play for. Bonus points could come into it as well. So I think it's going to be a fantastic 2 weeks of schools rugby to end the season.
Yes, interesting to see that most of the teams have picked up 5 bonus points and not more. Here are the top try scorers and the top point scorer. He will be on a show today. Tenukanane Akara, 74 points, and he's overtaken Manuka Ribeiro. He's also the joint top try scorer, so St. Peter's will be looking for him. He's the man who missed that early conversion against St. Thomas's. Well, when I say early, I mean in the last minute of that game. And if that conversion had gone over, St. Peter's may have just been unbeaten, but he's redeemed himself since then. And with that 4-try blitz that he had, we had Kavindana Pereira with the joint try-scoring record with 7 as well. Gisha Pakulatunga, since the early season burst, has been surpassed and may even have lost his place on the wing for Trinity. So lots of ups and downs in the season so far. The Pete Wright crowd has gathered here in force, and it looks a real occasion for both these teams, doesn't it, Abdullah? Because you've got this new pavilion, this brand spanking new pavilion, which looks fantastic, and it's a great facility as well, can seat a lot of people very comfortably. And we are really going to see St. Peter's rugby going from strength to strength on the back of this new facility, given where it used to be a few years ago.
Yeah, that's right. You could just sense the occasion when they played Royal here as well. You could sense the crowd getting into it, the players' performances lifting, and I'm sure a similar atmosphere is going to definitely be created today. It's a big match for both these schools. As we mentioned, Shanaka, the rivalry was early in cricket, but it's definitely over the last few years, it's come into the field of rugby as well, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's just these kind of encounters that helps aspire young players from both these schools to want to play at the highest level. And I think in the years to come, this rivalry is just going to grow from strength to strength.
Certainly is. You can see the blocks that have been named after various donors, various icons of St. Peter's. The 87 to 92 legends, as they call themselves, have put up their big flag there as well. So it looks like it's going to be fantastic conditions underfoot. It's a nice overcast day as well, not too hot. It was hot maybe about half an hour to 1 hour ago, Abdullah, and it was really sapping. But now the cloud cover has come in, and if we can avoid a shower, I think it's going to be a really fantastic weather for rugby. The boys will be able to play some nice, fast, open games. 40 points to 15, so that's a massive difficulty there for St. Joseph's to overcome historically. But recently, there have been much more victories for St. Joseph's in the last few years. In fact, they would have taken that from 10 points, 10 wins up to 15. So the tally 25 of a difference with 5 matches being drawn, but history is nothing to go by given the way St. Joseph's have been in the ascendancy recently.
Yeah, that's right. They were the unbeaten team until last week. They're playing some very good rugby, especially their 8, 9, 10 combination of Skip Alvis, Rashan Gunawardana, and someone and their fly half have really done extremely well. No doubt that they will be pulling the strings today. So the the St. Peter's third row will need to keep a close eye on them to ensure that they are not allowed and given too much room. It's Santosh Algama at 10. So that halves combination, I think, will play a big part in how today's game is going to go from St. Joseph's point of view.
Completely agree with you, Abdullah, but also we have a little bit of an underrated combination for St. Peter's in exactly those positions, I would think. We have Fernando, who's slotted in the number 8 position, but Bilal Hilmi has been swapping from the flank to number 8 as well. And then you have the other Fernando at number 9, and Tenuka Kara himself stepping in at number 10. So there's going to be a very interesting tussle in those 8, 9, 10 combinations for both teams today. And I would be surprised if Santosh Algama didn't come through and show us a little bit more of his form. He's been under pressure in the last 2 games quite a bit. Both St. Thomas's and Wesley put him under a lot of pressure. So I think St. Peter's would have watched that. But he's good enough of a player to come through.
Yes, he's definitely got quality. Just the execution, what kind of mental space he is in, is going to be crucial, because his kicking game also, I think, is going to play a big part. He's got to find space. His kicking from the tee is going to be crucial as well. And also, I think both teams will need to maintain their discipline, because both teams have got 2 very good place kickers in their ranks. And if there are any penalties that is conceded by either side, they will definitely pay the consequences, because as we earlier mentioned, Nana Kara being the highest point scorer in this league is a very good place kicker as well. And of course, Algama with the boot as well is very secure in how he executes.
You can hear the roar of the Pete Wright crowd, so home advantage is definitely going to be something that is going to be a factor in this game. And you can see what this means to the Pete Wrights, that their team is walking out under the cover of this fantastic new grandstand, the Father Joe Wickramasinghe Pavilion. And here are the team lineup. Senator Pereira at prop has been excellent this season, especially in defense. Malinga Seshan and Janitha Fernando form a big front row, almost 90 kilos for both of them as well. Look for that front row to really dominate. Johan Fernando binds down with Lankesh Pereira in the second row. So that's going to be a big combination there as well. Both over 6 foot, both in or around 90 kilos as well. So that's a big front 5 for the Pete Wrights, and that should be a problem for the Josephians, whose scrum hasn't been great. Nizran Dela moves from the second row out to the third row, where I think he's been really good. Needs a bit more rugby savvy, but he's putting his body on the line. Senthika Fernando is at number 8, and Bilal at number 7, although he's been playing at number 8. And Bilal Hilmi has moved to the flank position. He's the captain, and look for him to lead from the front for St. Peter's today. That's going to be an important combination defensively for the Pete Wrights as well. Ashen Ranasinghe is at scrum half, and Tenuka Kara will be at fly half as well. I think that might be the pictures swapped. I think that's Ashen Ranasinghe on the right. And then we have Dilshan Madhusankar, who started off the season at fly half, moved to fullback, and now finds his place in at number 12. Sunera Fernando is outside him at centre as well. So Dilshan Madhusankar, good boot as well. So they've got 2 options from either side of the breakdown, either side of the scrum to go for the kick as well. Ishan Fernando is on the wing. He's only little, but he's got quite a bit of pace. Ravin Fernando moves to fullback. We all know how dangerous he can be as well from broken field ball. He's got a fantastic step on him. And Shenol Silva is the other winger. So look for that counter-attacking back 3 for St. Peter's to make a real difference, as will St. Joseph's, as we read through their team card. Here's the other experienced front row coming up against the big lads on the other side. Tilaka Santosh, Gershan Tangaya and Siobhan Gregory, brother of course of Stefan Gregory, who was part of that big St. Peter's forward pack a few seasons ago. And they are a little bit lighter, but that won't stop them in terms of technique. Cheka Jayawardena will need to be good in the line-out today. Shehan Kalaniagoda is the second row who binds down alongside him. Shehan Eranda, he will be on the team sheet. Brother, of course, of former Trinity and Dilshan Kalaniagoda. Vihanga Pereira moves to the starting lineup today after coming off the bench for a couple of weeks so far. Tharindru Alvis, the captain, has been absolutely outstanding this season, as has Nehan Pereira in defense. You can see those bruises on their face means that they really have been putting their bodies on the line when they've been going into tackles. This is where the game really rests in favour of St. Joseph's. Rasha and Gunawardena and Santosh Algama, they have been an outstanding partnership, and both of them together and individually are players capable of breaking a game. We saw how good Rasha and Gunawardena was against St. Thomas's when he created 1 try and scored 2 to win the Lady Jaya Tilaka Shield, and that's going to be an important factor today, how he can get over Ranasinghe in his opposite number. Imes Disanaike is a strong runner, and of course we all know what Tarinda Maduranga brings to the party. He's absolutely outstanding player, very good off the first step as well, and he's beaten his first defender almost every time. Sunara Fernando will have a time of it marking him. Karunanaike is on one wing. Aaron Pereira is at fullback, also a good counter-attacker, and Sudharaka Piris will be the man who is on the right wing, and he is devastatingly dangerous. A very strong runner down that right flank, runs hard and runs straight.
Of the entire Josephine and Pete Wright family, let me, with much reverence and respect, humbly invite the rector of St. Peter's College, Reverend Father Trevor Martin, to hoist the Pete Wright flag. The Western Band of St. Peter's College will now play the Pete Wright anthem, and let us express our love and loyalty to St. Peter's College as the Pete Wright Western Band plays the college anthem. On behalf of everyone present here at Very Reverend Father Joe E. Vikramasinghe Pavilion of the Rugby Foundation of St. Peter's College, Mr. Fasal Mohammed, to invite the acting rector of St. Joseph's College, Reverend Father Edmund.
Lots of dignitaries present today. Abdullah, the Honourable Sports Minister, Mr. Harin Fernando, and he's got a beaming smile on his face. I'm sure yesterday's result would have a lot to do with that at Leeds. Headingley being the site of a famous victory for Sri Lanka, and continues their winning run against England in World Cups.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of pressure on him as well leading into this World Cup, but small reprieve. Let's just hope that the Lions will be able to kick on from here and make it to the next stage. But he's also been at the centre of St. Joseph's resistance in schools rugby, and I'm sure he'll be wanting this team to come out victors today.
Certainly will do. And as you said rightly, he has been at the forefront along with a man who played against you in school, Dinuk D.S. Vijayaratna, who's there following him, who has been a live wire of the Hornets rugby for St. Joseph's. Of course, Fazal Mohammed himself, who is introducing the Reverend Fathers to the two teams, has been a big part of Papare rugby as well. Managing to get this pavilion up would have been a massive coup for them and a huge boost for Papare rugby. So a lot of work has gone in, Abdullah, to both these teams from administrations past and present over maybe the last 10 years or so, and the results are only now beginning to show us. So I think it's really important for people to realize that results don't really show overnight, and that if you build a system, their results will come and there'll be consistency as a reward.
That's right. I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the word consistency. The results have got to be sustainable as well, and that's always the important part of it, and that comes by having a very steady foundation. And both these teams have done a lot of work to try and lay that foundation. This rivalry has really built itself up over the last 4 to 5 years, and it's something that the younger players from both these schools will aspire to play for. And I think in that context, it's great for Sri Lankan rugby as a whole.
Bilal Hilmi can't wait to get his team out there. Here the substitutes: Jason Karuna, Tilaka, Kalanka Pereira, Mega Das, Sapmina Pereira, Shanil Ranasinghe, Jason Rasan, Chandima Sandaruan, Stellan Erdley, Osanda Kumara Peruma, Charit Sasika for the St. Peter's College bench, and St. Joseph's. We have Ruchit Pereira, Pavinda Dilshan, Hasita Vijayasekara, Reshmika Sandun, Manesh Senaratna, Shanila Besekara, Mohammad Rifa, Johan Anjana drops to the bench, Ruchira Ekanaika, and Kavin Pereira making up the substitutes for the Josephians. Not a lot of experience on the benches, but there are some big boys on those benches nevertheless, and we saw Siobhan Gregory leading the Josephian team in prayer, and now St. Peter's too going through their routine. Priyantha Gunaratna assisted by Rohan Fernando and Dinka Piris, two very experienced ARs, and of course the most experienced man in that panel, Tony Amit, who will be the TMO.
That's right, the referees will play a big part in today's game. I'm sure Priyantha Gunaratna likes to let the game flow, and no doubt that would be the case today as both teams get ready for kick-off. Just sense the anticipation at the ground here. Both sets of spectators eagerly looking forward to this clash. It's not just the Basil Veeratunga trophy, but the league title on the line as well.
Well, welcome everybody once again to this Joe Peak clash for the Father Basil Veeratunga trophy. Could be the title decider of the Singer Schools League 2019. One more week to go when we'll know for sure, but this one is going to go a long way in deciding who is going to be the league champion for 2019. Season that has had a massive halt in it in the middle, but there's none of that now. We're back to the action, fair and square, and everyone from around the world, from both these teams and a lot of other teams watching as well with bated breath for this contest. Welcome all of you to ThePapare.com. Rasha and Guna Wardena finding a little space and an intelligent kick immediately by the young scrum half. Karina Maduranga really up quickly alongside Teran Karunanaike. The chase was good, anticipated the kick, and now pinning St. Peter's back inside their 22.
Last foot.
Robin Fernando comes in to play fullback there and gives his left boot thump to the ball from the box.
Yes, again, Rashan Gunawardena just showing his intelligence, is identifying the space at the back of that chasing St. Peter's defensive line, finding ample space, and the chase was good as well. So that just forced St. Peter's to find touch at just about 10 meters outside their own 22, and a great attacking opportunity for St. Joseph's first up.
They've got to get their line out right. It was much improved last week against St. Thomas's, but as we say that, Cheka Jayawardena is not able to get his hand on the ball. A good steal at the front from St. Peter's. They can't take this back and kick it out, so they will have to keep it in play. Fernando again with the left-footed box kick, but that time going out on the full, so St. Joseph's have an even better opportunity.
That's right, those are the kind of errors which St. Peter's will do well to avoid. Did very well to steal that Josephian throw-in, but they've just handed possession right back to them. It's interesting to see whether Josephs will change the option of their line-out. Will they go to the front, go to the middle, or even look at number 6?
This man has been key to the Pete Wright fortunes. Ravin Fernando, who was on your screen a moment ago, Senator Fernando rather, and that's a good take, but it's well crooked, taken outside the line of the outside shoulder of the jumper that time. So a problem area for St. Joseph's, and again see a little bit of heat to this contest. St. Peter's reminding St. Joseph's how rubbish their line-out was, and I don't think the Josephians wanted to hear too much about it.
Yes, well, there's only one way of correcting that, and that's to ensure that you get your throws and your coordination correct. So another missed opportunity for St. Joseph's.
Right? First and last warning, general warning. Tell you all players. Tell you all players.
Well, that's an interesting one. Referee Priyantha Gunaratne has laid down the law. He says, I'm controlling the game, and this is the first and last general warning, Abdullah. So something happens after this, then he might have to go to his pocket. And I'm not a huge fan of referees doing this so early in the game. It's obviously going to be a bit of adrenaline pumping. So we see that line out well outside the left shoulder of the Josephian jumper. Ranasinghe moves to scrum half again, takes over from Ravin Fernando, who deputizes in that position. Off the back goes Fernando. Senthika Fernando, that is. Few Fernandos in this lineup for St. Peter's. And the Pete Wright's good gain that time again. Shehane Randa making the tackle. That's a nice box kick, makes it contestable. Taken easily by Bandaranaike, though that time. In fact, it was Russian Gunawardhan who was hanging back for the kick.
Number 4, shoulder charge.
There was
number 4. Number 4, shoulder charge.
There was a late charge by
Number 4.
Nizran. So again, Mohammad Nizran, such a good player, Abdullah, physically gifted player, but his discipline has let him down a few times this season.
Yeah, that's right, and that was another occasion where he just could not control himself. Was running against much physically smaller Russian Gunawardhan and eventually conceding the penalty. So an opportunity for St. Joseph's to get the first points of this game. Algama has been very good off the tee this season. An opportunity for him to just try and get the first points and settle the Josephian nerves down.
So it has been few punches thrown by both teams so far, but nothing really connecting, and this may be the first opportunity for Santosh Algama now. Young fly half who stayed behind a dominant pack this season. Strikes it with that short back lift and follow through of his, and it's a good kick indeed. It wasn't an easy one, it was on the correct side for the right-footed kicker, but nevertheless Santosh Algama easy on the pressure, and 3 points to nil in favour of the Josephians.
It's a wonderful strike by Algama, so it's very clear that St. Peter's will have to be on guard. They can't afford to concede just really silly penalties like the one that Nirhal did on that occasion, because if it's in the Peters half, Algama will definitely make them pay.
Kicked off and taken easily by Shehane Randa that time.
You sit.
Well cleared into touch as well. Good exit strategy, but in fact they've carried it back. So a couple of mistakes early on, so you can see this pressure is not settled down yet among both teams.
That's right. They've got to be very clear in how they want to execute. Communication has got to be spot on as well, but I think there's really no excuse. Both these players, I think Ravin Fernando earlier and on this occasion Algama, both experienced players, need to be a bit more mindful where they are on the field before kicking. And as a result of kicking that onto the full, St. Joseph's find themselves under quite a bit of pressure.
Nizran fakes once and then goes up, and St. Peter's managed to get some good structure in this maul. They're driving it forward easily. Really no resistance from the Josephian pack. They've been turned right the way around and still going. Eventually it comes to ground, but referee Priyantha Gunaratne has his hand up for a penalty for the Josephians, for the Peterites rather. But it's still controlled at the back. Ranasinghe looks for his options left and right, but leaves it to his big forwards. And now he gets his hands on the ball, gives it to Senora Fernando. Senora Pereira, in fact. And now there's a few numbers out wide, but I think it was sensible to take that ball into the tackle. Dilshan Madhushankar. Here's Ravin Fernando with showing the dummy and straight through to the 5-meter line goes Ishan Ranasinghe. Smashed in the tackle. Outstanding work by Tarandidi Alvis. Flew up, but I think the referee may have said he was offside. I think that might have been a little unlucky for Tarandidi Alvis, who seemed to have timed that perfectly.
It was right. Nonetheless, the referee was definitely playing advantage. So rather than being on the right flank of the field, it will be moved to the left flank. So St. Peter's again deciding to go for touch. And no doubt that they'll be looking at executing another driving maul.
Yes, that maul marched about 15 meters forward. But I thought there was enough opportunity for St. Peter's to finish that off. But just didn't manage to get the hands strung together. They were going the wrong way for them. A lot of Sri Lankan teams like to attack from right to left because the pass is on their strong hand. Nicely taken at the back, but sacked equally well by the Josephians that time. They don't let the maul set up, but now St. Peter's have resurrected it. It's going sideways, so referee Gunaratne correctly says once. Now it moves forward. Ranasinghe needs to get this ball out quickly. The referee sees it's available. He'll allow them to play on, and it is. Good drive up. Ground gain by Bilal Hilmi there. They're almost at the line. Couple of feet short. Fernando. Johan Fernando, that is. Places the ball back for Ranasinghe. Here's the big man. Driven back in the tackle was Senora Pereira. Really good defense by St. Joseph's there again. Rashan Gunawardena dragging down a player 3 times his size. Here's St. Peter's. Poised and they're over. No, not yet. Inches short of the line now. Ranasinghe could probably have gone himself, but Ravin Fernando will get down for the score. And from 2 or 3 meters out, no one's going to stop the diminutive little Ravin Fernando. So strong in the legs, showed the dummy, stepped inside, and just managed to have enough upper body strength to get that ball down.
Yes, again, it was a very well controlled pick and drive sequence by St. Peter's. What they managed to do by that is they managed to just draw the Josephian defense in, and there was just a little bit of room out wide. And Ravin Fernando just having enough footwork and take off to just go over for St. Peter's first try. So St. Peter's, after conceding that early 3-pointer to St. Joseph's, have struck back relatively immediately and now find themselves ahead 5 points to 3.
Ravin Fernando would have enjoyed that. Here's the score. Gunawardena having to drift off to the second man, and he steps inside. Not sure what the complaint from the Josephian defender was there, but it was very much a try. Would have been nice to see a few more Peterite fans filling this grandstand. Not sure whether it's the weather, but or the excellent coverage on the Papare, of course, that people choose to stay home now, but it would be good to see more people coming out to the matches. As Tenukanane sends that one wide to give St. Peter's a 2-point lead on the scoreboard, but perhaps a little bit more of a moral victory.
That's right. As we have a look at that sequence of plays that led to that Peterite try, it was some very good defense by St. Joseph's, but eventually just not having players out wide to stop Ravin Fernando from going over.
Russia and Gunawardena will now kick off. Taken by Hilmi that time. A little lad, but he's strong. Lots of good leg drive. Ravin Fernando thinks about taking it down the blind side, but now ends up putting Dilshan Madhushankar under a little bit of pressure. His option taking at scrum half hasn't been the best. He's used there for his left boot, of course. But Ranasinghe much better, and there it is. It's pretty predictable when Ravin Fernando goes into that number 9 position that he's going to kick, and if you've got a tall man on the guard, St. Joseph's will fancy their chances. Here's Guna Warden, and now a little bit of space. Aaron Fernando, Himesh Disanaike. The pass to him was a little too floated. Here it is through Santosh Algama. Karunanayake cutting back infield. Good presence of mind from him to keep the ball alive. Guna Warden at first receiver. Here's Tilaka Santosh. Shehane Randa runs a nice line, gets over the gain line. Guna Warden goes back short side this time. Siobhan Gregory, and the ball is left behind and taken quickly by Senra Pereira. It's an outstanding prop forward, but that time it looks like St. Joseph's may have been offside as Ashin Ranasinghe kicks it straight into the back of one of the retiring Josephian players. Let's see what the referee has to say here. He'll come back for the knock-on.
That's right. Again, St. Joseph's showing a bit of enterprise, trying to spread that ball out wide. But the Peterite defense was very much up to that threat and managed to nullify it. It'll be interesting to see Ravin Fernando whether he continues to try and kick from the base. He probably has been moved to that scrum half position for that purpose. But he's got to try and get a bit of a wall in front of him, isn't it, Shanaka, at the breakdown if he's going to execute that, because the Josephians just seem to be aware of what he's trying to do.
Well, it's pretty obvious what he's trying to do, Abdullah. I don't think there's any deception in what he's trying to do there as Gregory knocks that ball on. So he does need a wall, and he needs big players along the maul, as we see Sentika Fernando coming off the back and tries a back of the hand offload. Really not the kind of offload you need in that particular position. So decision making for St. Peter's so far has been pretty poor despite their lead on the scoreboard.
That's right. You just don't want to take those high risk pass when you're in your own 22, because you're already under a bit of pressure. And on that occasion, the ball just not going to hand, resulting in a knock-on and another great attacking opportunity for St. Joseph's.
Yes, I think starting the Rualvis will probably do the break the way it's meant to be done here. Watch for him running straight at Madhushankar today. In fact, he gives it to Rashan Gunawardhan, who tries that move that works so well against St. Thomas's. Shehane Randa leaves the ball behind but manages to recover it. That was lucky. Big bust by Tangaya there. Vihanga Pereira. Pick up and go once again. Now St. Joseph's doing exactly what happened to them at the other end. A dose of St. Peter's own medicine here. The post is looming. Will someone score against that? They try to, but repelled by Pereira's defense again. Pereira makes a second tackle on the line. Here's Tangaya, almost over. Bodies all over the place. It's untidy, but the referee is on the spot trying to go over the ruck, but that was probably the one place that he shouldn't have gone to. And now almost over, but the knock-on coming. Oh dear, that's Siobhan Gregory that knocks it on for the second time for his team, and they were almost over the line. He had the gap yawning in front of him. Not this particular bust, but the next one. Watch the big Siobhan Gregory coming around the back, picking it up. He sees the line and he just looks at the line before the ball.
Yes, full credit to the Peterite defense on that occasion. They did not infringe, just fanned out, just managed to absorb that pressure. And eventually Gregory lying at his sights, just losing the ball in contact. So a reprieve for St. Peter's. I'm sure no doubt they'll try and clear their lines from this occasion. They're in their own goal line, so they can just boot it into touch directly without any problem. It's a centre field play, so they'll have to be a bit careful on how they execute.
Sentika Fernando goes off the back again to try and set up a little bit more space for Deshan Madhushankar. Tenukanare to clear, but they've gone away again, and that's another bad decision. Bilal Hilmi gets isolated. I don't think the rest of his forward pack were expecting to run. And now they've taken it quickly, and it looks like they might have gone over. But the referee a little bit late on that. They might be going to the TMO. Yes, they are.
I think what he has called it back for Shanaka is that Tarindu, as soon as the penalty went, said that he wants to go to the post. And another one of the Josephians seemed to have taken the tap. So referee Priyanth Gunarathan very clearly calling them back and saying that the call was made by the skipper to go to the post. And Algama has got an opportunity to just put St. Joseph's into the lead.
Yep, there he goes. He says he'll go for posts, but St. Joseph's not singing off the same hymn sheet there. But it's an easy enough kick for Santosh Algama, and it looks like it might have been the right decision from Tarindu Alves in the first place, just to get a little bit of a lead and just to show. Keep in touch on the scoreboard, Abdullah. That's never something that you can discount, just to have that little bit of a lead.
Yeah, that's right. And so far, Shanaka, the pattern of this game has been when either team has got into the opponent's 25, they have made it count. So the territorial aspect of this game is going to be vital. Both teams should try and focus to play the game in the other team's half, not try and do anything too fancy in their own half. And if they can just play that with a bit more intelligence, then I think that'll go a long way in either one of these teams coming out on top.
Ball kicked off again by St. Joseph, so they're trading blows early in this game. Shehane Randa.
Last foot. Use it.
That's the wall that Abdullah was talking about. Santosh Algama getting a little bit of time to clear that one. Ranasinghe to Ravin Fernando. Fernando bumping off one tackle, bumping off a second, straight through the gap he goes. Manages to get the offload away to big Seshan. Following up well, and here's Ravin Fernando handling again. Good pass off, and that one doesn't find its hand. And in the end, it was Johan Fernando whose hands just didn't get to the ball. But again, Ravin Fernando showing what a brilliant broken field runner he is.
That's right. They've got to be very careful if they decide to kick infield. Their chasing has got to be accurate. Again, Ravin Fernando, wonderful footwork. Almost there. And then just the presence of mind to look for support. That wonderful pop-off pass. And the St. Peter's just unfortunately just not managing to make that final pass. You probably wouldn't want your second row and your third row on that flank. You probably want your wing three-quarter, but that was not the case. A good clean line-out take by St. Joseph's.
Check out Jaya at that time. And that's probably the first time that St. Joseph's have got the line-out cleanly. Important one as well. After they had been scythed wide open by Fernando, they needed to boost their morale a little bit. Just exit, slow the game down. St. Peter's would like to have it a little bit more scrappy and a little faster. But St. Joseph's rely a little bit more on structures, a few less broken field geniuses for them. Tarindu Maduranga hasn't had the ball yet. And as the rains come down, Abdullah, this was something we were talking about a little bit before kickoff as well. Those thundercloud looked ominous. And will this change the way the game is played?
That's right. It'll be interesting to see how both teams adjust to the conditions. Just coming to the way St. Peter's have been forming Shanaka in this game, especially off broken play. There's been a very clear pattern to the way they're using Ravin Fernando. On some occasions, he does come to the breakdown, plays in that scrum half position, and on other occasions, he stands out wide. And so far, that has been very effective from St. Peter's point of view.
Nizran Nila winning that at the front. Tenukanane Akara gives it to Fernando. Ranasinghe. Big second row that time. The other Pereira taking it forward, and that time the ball is lost, and it's a lovely floated ball. And knocked forward that time by Sudaraka ThePapare, unfortunate. And Ravin Fernando will now come away with it. So referee is playing advantage, but they may come back for the knock-on.
Wait. Number 2, others back. Others back. Number 2. Time off.
Ball just rolling out there, and that was a lovely run by Nehan Pereira. Lovely floated ball as well to Sudaraka ThePapare, who just couldn't get it away.
There's good awareness by the prop as well to look for his wing three-quarter.
Tony, get back. Tony, any foul play, blue and white, number 2. Tony, any foul play, blue and white, number 2.
So referee Gunaratna very clear. Was there any foul play by number 2? That's Gershon Thangaya, who's been under the microscope at the moment. And the fans who were fooled by the early sunshine today. That's the man who'll find out his fate in a few moments. TMO Tony Amit. Looking at what's happening, that's a good tackle on Sudaraka Devapriya in the end. So let's see where the foul play is, if there is any. Looks like it was Devshan Madhushankar really that came in from the side. And well, not a lot in that for Gershon Thangaya. If he gets a yellow card for that, I'll be very surprised.
Referee Priyanka,
yes,
there was a charge by number 2.
Sorry?
Shoulder charge by number 2.
Tony,
Let's watch it again here.
Shoulder charge by
Thangaya
number
makes
2.
a tackle there.
And number
penalty. Number 2, shoulder charge, penalty here.
Yes.
was a clear shoulder check.
That angle shows it a little bit better. There was a shoulder into Ravin Fernando's chest. There was no attempt to wrap the arm. So referee Tony Amit, the TMO, has got that spot on. And this is an area of the game, I think, that World Rugby is trying to clamp down on, Abdullah. So even though it looked innocuous, I don't think we can fault the referee's team for giving that.
That's right. The World Rugby has really clamped down on illegal play, especially with regard to player safety. But it was good to see, Shanaka, the fact that no yellow card was given. I don't think that warranted a yellow card as such, but just a warning would suffice. But St. Joseph's and St. Peter's, for that matter, we've seen a couple of these shoulder charges. The adrenaline yet seems to be pumping, but they've got to keep their emotions on check.
6 points to 5 in this title deciding game for the Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy. Vihanga Pereira trying to disrupt the line out, but well won that time by Fernando. And Nizran Nila carries it forward. Here's Bilal Hilmi, and that one was palmed down, and that might just be a yellow card for Imesh Disanaik as we come back and look at it a little bit more closely. No, referee says that it was just a penalty, not a yellow card. It was not cynical. He taps it down though, and didn't seem to have any intention of trying to really intercept that. Watch it here. Disanaika. Well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The Pete Wright backs who were screaming for it outside of him might have a different opinion to the Josephian supporters.
1 minute.
Yes, that rain cloud above us, Shanaka, seems to have cleared. And the sun again is back at Bambalapitia. But nonetheless, the ball is likely to be a bit wet for this remaining 10 minutes or so. So the teams will need to be aware of that.
Neela was the go-to man, but he was overthrown, but nevertheless rescued by Fernando. Here's big Senra Pereira. They're using him so well, this Pete Wright team. And that's a nice wide pass, giving it to Madhushankar. That time manages to step through one tackle, steps back in. Tarindu Madhuranga drags him down. Ranasinghe looks for his support, finds it in the form of Seshan. Ruck form, very clear instructions from referee Gunaratna and good discipline from the Josephians to get their hands off. Now Ranasinghe again. It's a nice ball in front of Sunera Fernando that time. Still going. St. Peter's managing to show some continuity. And again that knock on from Ranasinghe just slipping underfoot. So as you said, Abdullah, that wet ground will have an impact on the ball and also maybe on these cleated boots that these players wear these days, the football boots, not really providing you a lot of grip in these particular conditions. But of course, you can't buy boots for conditions not under the budgets that we are on.
Yes, and also it's the conditions, isn't it, in Sri Lanka? Because most of the time when the sun is out, the grounds are very hard, and you can't have those big steely boots on those occasions. So it's a bit of a tough one. But on that occasion, St. Peter's definitely had a few players out wide, decided to go a bit, play it at close quarters. On that occasion, the communication is crucial. So we have a look at that replay once again. Ball just bouncing all over the place. It's an opportunity for St. Joseph's to try to clear their lines. Algama.
Thumping kick, that one, behind Ravin Fernando, who carries it back into his 22, so he can't kick it out in the full. So he did touch it, which means that he will have to take it back. So again, just a lack of intelligence there. Abdullah, he's done a few really good things and a couple of very silly things. So I think he cancels out his contribution in the attack with things like that, Ravin Fernando. If he can change that side of his game, which is so easily fixable, he'll be an outstanding player.
Yeah, that's right. As we have a look at that once again, probably slight knock-on. And St. Joseph's pouncing on that to clear his line. But I do empathize with this situation a bit as well. Shanaka, this season he's been moved around all over the place. He's been playing at centre, wing 3. In this game he has played in the scrum half position as well as fullback. So it's never an easy thing to do to continuously change your position, as St. Joseph's once again not managing to win that line out ball. So St. Peter's have managed to get possession.
So a couple of gift horses that St. Joseph's have looked squarely in the mouth. Squandered opportunities as Ranasinghe waits for a good clearance this time from Dilshan Madhusankar. Russian Gunawardhan is back as he always is, and it's again that kick that he put down the throat of Ishan Ranasinghe, but the winger has palmed that down in volleyball block kind of fashion, so he will have to go all the way back. And again, that same raking crossfield kick that is paying dividends for Russian Gunawardhan.
Yes, but on that occasion, I think St. Peter's had that covered. Unfortunately, they knocked it on. So another great attacking opportunity for St. Joseph's. Scrum this time, so chances are it's a bit more secure ball for them. Great opportunity for that 8-9 combination of Alvis and Gunawardhana to conjure up something for St. Joseph's, as we have a look at that once again.
Gunawardhana didn't really strike it well, but again, although he did have it covered, Abdullah, he had to run back for it. And that's what created the bad bounce for him. Gunawardhana straight into Tharindu Madhuranga, who we haven't seen much of for the first half an hour of this game. They want the ball in his hands a little bit more often, do the Josephians. Russian Gunawardhana waits, trying to control traffic inside that 22. And now the Josephians they latch on to each other, trying to create those numbers in the tackle. Vihanga Pereira goes on his own, does well to roll into one tackle. Russian Gunawardhana. Here's Madhuranga. Madhuranga shows and goes. Takes 2 to bring him down. Imesh Disanaike is first man there to help him clear the ball. Gunawardhana now. Siobhan Gregory. That time he holds onto the ball. He'll be disappointed with a couple of knock-ons with the line at his mercy. And now Gunawardhana gets some clean ball. And that time it's a bad pass straight at the knees of Tharindu de Alvis, and St. Peter's will counter-attack and counter-attack quickly. Nice delayed ball that time by Fernando, the prop forward. Still running, and that time the hands are not good from Sunera Fernando, the number 12. Should really have done a lot better. Numbers outside him, should have passed earlier, Abdullah, and that would have been a try under the post for all money.
Yes, well, he was looking at the support player, but he was looking at the defense as well. He wanted to try and draw some Josephians players towards them, but the Josephians also were retaining their shape and backtrotting, and eventually just threw that pass a bit too late. As we have a look at that once again. Nanayakara just passing that ball behind, so little errors just costing St. Peter's on that occasion. And they have turned possession once again. So we're into the last 5 minutes of this first half. It's been a real cat and mouse game. Both teams are unable to find any real fluency in their plays other than the occasional pick and go.
Both scrums have been pretty good. Both sets of forwards, I should say. And that's a lovely thump. Outstanding kick at this particular moment in time, Abdullah. It's just below, before half time rather, and you want to be pinned in that half, pick up whatever points may be on offer and just tire out the Peterites.
Yeah, that's right. Again, Algama just showing the accuracy of his kick out of the hand. St. Peter's wing three-quarter was slightly flat, identified the space at the back. It's a wonderful kicking technique that he's got. And now pressure on St. Peter's to get this line out. Their line out has been relatively steady in this game in comparison to that of St. Joseph's.
Both teams though could probably polish up in this particular area. St. Peter's also have won a few balls that maybe better teams would have taken off them. Nisran Nila fakes twice this time before going up. And that time it's Ranasinghe playing at half-back, and it's another charge down, Dilshan Madhushankar. So again, he's not standing in the pocket, and it's Sarindra Dialvis who flew up there. The captain, as we said earlier, leading from the front. He's been an outstanding player for St. Joseph's this season. And I think the turning point in that Wesley game was when he was sent off to the sin bin. A nice loopy pass there for the charge down. And again, you have to wonder why Dilshan Madhushankar is not standing in the pocket right there behind the ruck. He's giving an opportunity. So Fernando has got this ball in his hand. Yes, he does. So that was not an illegal maul because he didn't transfer the ball back to the player who bound onto him. Dilshan Madhushankar now with a big thump down the throat of the Josephian winger. Aaron Fernando now looks for the little chip kick, and it might bounce kindly, but it doesn't for Sudaraka ThePapare. It's a kick forward, but the referee will probably come back to check that as Aaron Fernando touches down for good measure. But I'm sure referee Priyantha Gunaratna will come back to check that contest.
Yeah, that's right. He probably was slightly unsighted, so decided to let the play go on. It definitely looked as if it was a knock-on. And looks like it's going to be referred.
Any knock-on before the try? Tony, any knock-on before the try?
You loud. I'll come back to you. Come back to you.
So the question is whether there was a knock-on before the try. I think referee Rohan Fernando saw that quite well, but he would like confirmation. Watch the chase there, and that's definitely a grounding. That's definitely a try if there was no knock-on. Sarindra Dialvis just inquiring about that maul, Abdullah. So good captaincy there, knows exactly what's going on, and the referee being very clear.
Second one. Man in front of hole, knock-on.
So need to go back and look at the contest. That's the one there. I think
You go by the on-field decision by AR. You go on decision by AR.
let's watch this carefully.
No try. Try okay. Try one field decision.
Let's watch this. This is the contest. And it looked like it might have missed the hands of Sudaraka ThePapare completely. Went straight through his hands and into Ravin Fernando. Ravin Fernando then gets it knocked out of him by Sudaraka Devapriya. So technically that's not a knock-on because it doesn't come off his hands.
Go by the AR's call. On-field decision.
Comes off his leg there, so we're not sure whether that's a knock-on because it doesn't seem to strike his hands. And the referee going with the decision. So referee Tony Amit saying go with what Rohan Fernando saw. And Rohan Fernando very clearly saw the knock-on. When we slow it down frame by frame, Abdullah, you might think that Aaron Fernando has been deprived of a try, but I do think the right call has been made.
Yeah, that's right, Shaun. You've got to agree because it's too close a call to call. It's one of those decisions that's hard to see from the TV screen as well. I'm sure Rohan Fernando would have probably had the best view being right in line with that. And overall, I think the correct decision has been made.
Senthika Fernando goes off the back, runs straight into Santosh Algama. Now his forwards pick up and go. Big Johan Fernando. Avishka Ranasinghe with a nice looped pass out. That's a nice flat ball again. Here's a little bit of space. The winger cutting in that time was Silva. And again, the handling letting them down. Avishka Ranasinghe lucky not to be penalised on that occasion for playing in front of the ball, but again those Peter Rice running onto the ball, not showing real conviction. Maybe this Josephian defence has just put a little bit of fear into them.
Yeah, that's right. They seem to be rushing up very well, isn't it? And that's just creating a bit of doubts in St. Peter's attacking play. There's been a couple of knock-ons, something that I'm sure they'll have a quick chat at half-time. That would probably the last move, a great attacking opportunity for St. Joseph's. If they can get some form of points going into half-time, it'll give them a lot of confidence.
Here's the ball again, and just a nice step through. And Bandaranaike will touch down. What an outstanding try. Came absolutely out of nothing. But Bandaranaike, who's been a devastating finisher in the last 3 weeks or so, what a line he ran and found his way to the try line with absolutely no trouble.
Yes, a wonderful winger's finish, Anaga, but also if you just go before that 8-9 combination again, just identifying the space on the short side. And then Guna Warden just realizing that his wing had enough of space to just get over that first line of defense, just shifted that ball out. And as we have a look at that once again, just look at very simple, running an absolutely straight line. The wing three-quarter drew towards Guna Warden, and that just enabled the wing three-quarter to get a bit of momentum. And with just full back to beat, there was no problem because that footwork was always going to get the better of the cover defense. So on the stroke of half-time, St. Joseph's get their first try. Algama with the conversion. Makes no mistake. So 13 points to 5 at half-time. St. Joseph's going into the sheds with just what they would have wanted.
Well, that's a huge blow, isn't it, Abdullah? A real hammer blow. Beautiful passing, 8-9-14. And quite honestly, that is my favorite play in all of rugby's playbooks. And if you execute it well, it is just so simple. And if you have a winger and a number 9 who know when to release, when to pass, that really is an unstoppable move. Wonderful finishing from Teran Bandaranaike, but take nothing away from Dialvis and Gunawardena inside him, who created that space for him, which he managed to exploit so well. So just before half-time, it's 13 points to 5. The Josephians doing so well to come into that game after being under the cosh for large parts of that first half, but still managing to come through and win after squandering a few opportunities. They've won the half, but will they win the game? That's something that we'll have to wait another 35 minutes and more to find out. So you've got the highlights coming up at Mount Lavinia with 25 minutes gone. It's 11 points to 0 in favour of St. Thomas's. A surprise lead for the Thomians there. With Trinity College doing all they can to drop the ball with the goal line at their mercy. And as the Father Joe Vikramasinghe Pavilion looks out over this Militiamen ground, which is now once again bathed in sunlight after we had that short, sharp shower. That's Ravin Fernando scoring the first try after a wonderful rolling maul. And here's the second try of the game for St. Joseph's. Beautiful run-in from Teran Karunanaike. And the passing was in front of the players, Abdullah, and that's what creates so much for any team that executes it properly.
Yeah, and also the line that Gunawardene ran, he ran at a slightly inside line which drew the wing towards him, giving enough space for his wing three-quarter to just get a bit of momentum. And it's just those little things that make such a big difference in the final outcome.
Young players watching, ball in both hands, run straight and pass when it's not your last option. We'll be back with a lot more of this title deciding game here for the Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy. You're watching St. Joseph's coming to St. Peter's to try and get their sixth win in this, or their sixth win out of 7 games in this league titled Singer League 2019. You're live on ThePapare.com. We'll be back in just a few moments.
ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මෙලිබන් යහපෝෂ රස එකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි? සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් බුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්තේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්තේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා. පදම වරුනේ. කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්තේ පදමට කහට.
I have news. Let's meet.
To be a man is to sweat for every last inch of it. The harder you push yourself, the louder your body will protest. From sweat to grease, grease to dandruff. Fight back with Clear Men, 2 times the fighting power of ordinary shampoos. Beat grease, beat dandruff. Unbeatable performance for the unbeatable man. Power through the odds. Clear, 0 dandruff, nothing to hide.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම no limit.
Then Gold Dio Body Spray. හඳුන්වාදෙන අලුත්මාලත් මාදිලි 4කින්. Blaze, Challenge, Storm සහ Rave. අදම try කරන්න. Gold Dio Body Spray. පැය 24 පුරා.
When she's special, she's not just a girlfriend. She is your sweetheart. When you feel it, you don't just call it sunshine. You call it warmth. When you reveal your deepest emotions, it's not just art, it's freedom. And when its essence is premium cocoa butter, it's not just chocolate, it's Ravello. Chocolate so special, you call it Ravello.
Discover fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
Diesel Mahana machine.
දැන් යහ පෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රසයකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි? සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් බුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්ටේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්ටේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා. පදම වරුනේ. කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්ටේ පදමට කහට.
I have news. Let's meet.
සුවිසලි ලක්ක වෙනුවෙන් සෑමංගලක් දක්වාම දහඩිය හෙලීම සැබෑ පිරිමියෙකුගේ ගතියක්. ඔබේ උත්සාහය තියුණු වෙන තරමට ඔබේ ශරීරයේ උත්සාහයට අභියෝග කරයි. මුලින් දහඩිය, ඉන්පසු ග්‍රීස්, අන්තිමට ඉස්හොරි ක්ලියර්මෙන් සමගින් නැගිටින්න කාලයයි මේ. සාමාන්‍ය ෂැම්පූවලට වඩා දෙගුණයක් ක්‍රියාකාරී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ඔබත් සමග ඉස්හොරි වලට එරෙහිව සටන් වදී. ඔබේ ජයග්‍රහණයට පෙරමං සදන අසම සමීලක්ක වෙත යන සැබෑ පිරිමින් වෙනුවෙන්ම සුවිශේෂී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ලොබාංගේගේ මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ. දැන් ගෝල්ඩියෝ බොඩි ස්ප්‍රේ හඳුන්වා දෙන අලුත් මාදිලි හතරකින් බ්ලේස්, චැලෙන්ජ්, ස්ටෝම් සහ රේව්. අදම try කරන්න ගෝල්ඩියෝ බොඩි ස්ප්‍රේ පැය 24 පුරා.
Echo the voices of fun. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
Very good afternoon and welcome back to the Militiamen Grounds as the Father Joaquina Singer Pavilion stands guard over this St. Peter's team that have a mountain to climb in the second half. St. Joseph scoring on the stroke of half-time in this all-important game which could be a league decider in the Singer League 2019. You're on ThePapare.com and of course on Dialogue TV as well as we bring you all the games this weekend. The Major Milroy Fernando Trophy happening at the Royal College Sports Complex. Isipatana leading 6-0 at half-time in a surprise turnaround there. But of course look for Royal to come back strongly in the second half. And St. Thomas's have just allowed Trinity in for their first try again on the stroke of half-time. 7 points to 11 with Minitha Jayasundara's conversion after the Thomians had led for much of that first half. So St. Peter's will be a little devastated by what happened. Well, I don't know whether you can be a little devastated. I think they will be devastated by what happened, Abdullah, because that very simple move off the back from those guys that we spoke about before the game, 8 and 9, Tarindu Dialvis and Russia and Guna Warden are absolutely outstanding to put this man in, Bandaranaike, and that's the difference between the two teams.
Yeah, that's right. And also the timing of it, isn't it, Shanaga? Just on the stroke of half-time. It would have been better to go in 6-5 down rather than 13 points 5 down. So just that extra bit of breathing space for St. Joseph's just made St. Peter's task a bit harder. But St. Peter's, no doubt, will definitely try and they've got to score first, basically, in this first half. If they can do that, then we've got game back on.
So the game has kicked off now. The second half, 35 minutes to go to decide which of these teams will take on Royal College, perhaps for the title challenge. Ravin Fernando drops that one, but it went backwards. And this time it's Seshan Silva, that drives forward. Senura Pereira has been really good today, doing a lot of that grunt work, but again the passing accuracy lets St. Peter's down. Dilshan Madhushankar does well to get that away to Sunera Fernando. And the centre is turned over in midfield. Ravin Fernando acting at scrum half, and that's Tenukanane Akkara putting the little chip kick in, the grubber kick I should say. Aaron Fernando that time off the outside of his boots, skillful.
Number 13 outside. Number 13.
It was a good kick by Aaron Fernando, but his teammates didn't do him any favours that time as Johan Fernando thunders forward into the 22, and now there's space on the outside. Fernando again. Silva this time rather. Stepping is Bilal Hilmi, straightening that line, taking it to the gain line. Good ball available for Ranasinghe, but it's slow. Shehana Randa getting in there very quickly, but the referee saying hands off. Here's a big contact from Sunera Fernando running into the gap. Avishka. He says there was a knock on there by Ranasinghe, so he'll come back for the block tackle. So a block tackle is when you tend to block the ball runner rather than tackle him. You don't wrap your arms, you just fall into his feet. It's dangerous, which is exactly why referee Priyanth Gunaratne has called that up. And it's nice to see that being called, Abdullah. It's been a blight on a lot of schoolboy matches where you find players just digging their shoulders into the opposition runners, and it's good that the referees are alive to that.
Yes, and it's very dangerous as well, isn't it? That's something which you just don't want to happen in the game. The sooner the referees start blowing that, players, coaches will be much aware that they've got to avoid that kind of brazen act. But I think this is a good decision by St. Peter's to go for the post. They conceded 7 points just before half time. If they can get 3 points back just 1.5 minutes into this second half, just make them feel so much more better and just reduce that deficit. Naikara, the way he's been kicking during this season, should really have no problem slotting this one over.
Yes, he pointed to the post immediately as well. Tenukanane Akkara knew how important it is to get within touching distance. The gap is 8. This kick will reduce the gap to 5 points, which means that a converted try will make all the difference, and it also puts the pressure on St. Joseph's, who know that they're now just one score in front, which means they have to keep playing ball.
Yeah, that's right. Again, Shanik, we're just coming back to the importance of playing a territorial game, isn't it? Both teams just sometimes trying to do a bit too much in their own half. On that occasion, what led to that penalty was that poor clearance kick, just trying a punt instead of either going deep or into touch. Gunawardene again, nice ranging long kick-off, gives ample time for his chasers to come in, but they've got to make those tackles first time.
Allowing St. Peter's a little bit too much room on the carry, not making that aggressive defensive hit that Tarindu De Alves was leading the way from. Ravin Fernando's box kick that time is good, but here's De Alves now. One captain to the other. The referee says play on, and there's 6 of one, half a dozen of another call again, as Tarindu De Alves did have his knees on the ground. Nizra Nila with the ball in hand for the first time. Diving right over the top was a Pete right forward, but not a material impact on the game. That was a good pass, but excellent defense from Tarindu Madhuranga that time as well. Had to make that spot tackle as he rushed up. Plenty of numbers outside for St. Peter's if that ball went to hand. Here's Johan Fernando. Good pass out by Ravin Fernando again, and here's Ranasinghe with the back of the hand offload. Nice little burst from the winger. Ishara Fernando. Now Ravin Fernando goes into the line. That's good aggressive defense from St. Joseph's again. Bilal Hilmi looks for runners, and now they've got it through Dilshan Madhushankar. Oh, and that's a high tackle. There'll certainly be a review of that as we come back, depending on what happens here. If St. Peter's can make it count, doesn't seem to be an advantage here, so referee will come back. And the only thing he'll have to ask is whether there's a card or no card here. Certainly a penalty.
Yes, that was very reckless by Maduranga. He'll be lucky if he doesn't get a card. He's not carded for that offence.
Penalty. Blue number 13. No high tackles. No high tackles. Penalty here.
So lucky to get away with just the penalty. Referee Dinka Piris intervening there and giving his recommendation as well. And Maduranga, you remember him from that last St. Peter's St. Joseph's game last year where he got a red. Here he is, and yeah, I would think that was pretty reckless. Big tackle on Silva.
Yes, he made contact with the neck, isn't it, Shanak? I think that's definite no-no in the World Rugby books. Nonetheless, a great attacking opportunity for St. Peter's. Get this line out. Well sacked by the Josephians.
It's half-time in Mount Lavinia, 11 points to 7 in favour of the home team. As Tenukanarea spins in and out of tackles, and it looks very much like they've got him wrapped up here. So St. Joseph's will get this ball back if they don't, if it doesn't come out. So good work from the Josephian team to hold up the player, create a maul, and as you all know, the rule is if you take the ball into a maul, it's your responsibility to bring it back out.
It's good work by St. Joseph's, just holding the ball carrier up on that occasion, unable to, rather Peter's right player, unable to hit the deck to try and release the ball, and as a result managing to get that turnover.
Pavindu Dilshan, who's come off the bench, central in holding that one up there. Shehan Eranda also has been really good in defence for this Josephian team so far.
Ready, my call.
The body position is so crucial in that aspect, especially when you go into contact. If you go upright, it always gives the opposition and a chance to hold you up, like we saw on that occasion.
Nizran Nila moving to number 8 to try and maybe charge down. As Tarindu Dialvis goes off the back, gets up to the gain line. So telling carries from the Josephian captain. Santosh Algama, nice and deep in the pocket there, and that's a good clearance as well. From the centre of the field, it may not look very far from the try line, but when you think about the centre of the field position that he was in, Sudaraka Devapriya want the ball in his hand a little bit more. Don't forget to vote now for the Papare Most Popular Schoolboy Rugby Player 2019. Visit thepapare.com/schools rugby and /vote. Tarindu Maduranga, lucky to be on the field, we think, here in the commentary box. Has a few issues with discipline. Got sent off against Wesley as well in a key period in that game. And that ball was transferred. Johan Fernando, that time not having the presence of mind to keep the ball in his hand. That's what the referee is saying. Ball was transferred. If you give it back to the guy who binds on you, then you're in front and you're the obstruction when there's nobody bound on you. So it's a very technical rule, and I won't judge anyone at home who's a little confused. But the referee got it spot on that time, so suffice for us to say that.
Well, it's a very risky thing to do, isn't it, Shanak, by St. Joseph's? You're in your own 22, and if that ball wasn't transferred to the back of that line out, Pete Wrights could have got a lot of momentum and virtually gone all the way.
Yes, I do think it is a risky strategy. I think it's something you can use in the opposition half, or maybe within the 40 meter and the 22, but inside the 22 or thereabouts, it's a difficult one. Gershon Tangaya so straight into Cheka Jayawardana's hands, and Jayawardana obviously very frustrated, lashing out at the Peterite player. But just handbags, nothing too serious. That really should have been taken. And despite their line-out being so shoddy, Abdullah, they still find themselves in the lead.
Yes, it's hard to understand why they haven't been able to get their line-out working today. Probably the scoreline would be much different as well if they had at least got a 50% accuracy in their line out.
Half-time scores from across Colombo at the moment. Rahl College playing Isipatana for the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy. Isipatana leading 6-0 from the boot of Manilka Ruberu. And St. Thomas's with the boot of cricketer Iriagama have got 2 penalties, which have given them the 11 points to 7 lead against a wonderful try scored by Janidu Ratnaik on the stroke of half-time. So St. Peter's winning another penalty, and an important one at that. Senthika Fernando takes the ball deep into opposition territory.
10 meter, okay. 10 meter. Not 10. 10 meter back. Not 10.
So again, discipline letting St. Joseph's down. They weren't back 10 meters. So despite doing well in defense on that occasion, they've got to give the ball back.
CP Wrights deciding to go to the corner this occasion. Now try and execute another driving maul. St. Joseph's have been caught a bit flat in the second half, isn't it, Shanaka? They just have been bogged down in their own half, conceding penalties. Here the referee very clearly instructing to release the tackler or the ball carrier. But St. Joseph's not paying heed to his call, eventually being penalized.
Madhuranga again giving that penalty away. So needs to be alive to the referee's call. The referee says release, and even if you agree or not, you've got to release as Peters gets some fishtail movement into this maul, and they score easily. Nizran Nila is on the bottom of that one. And it's 13 points all here at Bambalapitia as Nizran Nila brings his team level and gives Tenukananayakara a chance to put his team into the lead for just a second time in this game.
It was right, very well executed driving maul. St. Joseph's just not being able to get the numbers behind to stop that. And once that Peter Wright maul got a bit of momentum, it was very, very hard to stop. Good body position by the entire forward pack of St. Peter's. And we are now tied at 13 points all, with Nanayakara's conversion to come. Nilhar on that occasion at the back of the line out. Normally he's the jumper, isn't he, Shanaka? But on that occasion, was used as the person at the back of that maul. Controlled the drive very well and just went over. So Nanayakara with the opportunity to put St. Peter's ahead.
Bilal Hilmi getting some much needed hydration. Nanayakara's kick is a good one, and the pavilion goes wild behind the goalposts as St. Peter's finally take the lead. They led 5 points to 3 earlier in the game, and now it's 10 points later and they've got the same gap on them. Nicely taken by Johan Fernando. You can see Nizran Nila moves his way to the back of that maul, and that's where the fishtail starts. They go from side to side. And once they get that leg drive going, very, very difficult to stop. Ravin Fernando just showing referee Gunaratna Nila's try in case he'd missed it. Double bounce. Nobody seemed to want that, and St. Peter's immediately find themselves under pressure. Need to clear this one quickly. Not allow St. Joseph's back in, so that's the kind of mistake that allows oppositions to come in and steal something where they shouldn't have been able to. Again, Fernando's box kick, well read by Tarindudi Alvis, but again the ball bouncing twice. Looks like he's auditioning for the Afghanistan cricket team here. And the poor old Tarindudi Alvis has done so well in this game and makes a crucial error to allow St. Peter's vital breathing space.
Yes, you can clearly see a momentum shift in this game post the second half. It's been all St. Peter's. I don't think St. Joseph's have managed to manage that pressure that well. They've been forced into many errors. And on that occasion, skipper De Alvis not getting under that high ball. Bounced a couple of times and then just knocking it on. So St. Peter's with possession will definitely look to launch a three-quarter attack. They haven't yet used their backs from first phase ball. Be interesting to see whether they will try their hand in one of those three-quarter moves, but look like it's a strike against the head on that occasion.
And the ball doing a heck of a lot with bouncing like the way rugby balls are wont to bounce. Really not making life easy for anybody at the receiving end of it. Again the set piece letting them down. Russia and Guna really needed to fall on that without palming it back. St. Joseph's guilty of being a little all over the place after the half-time break, Abdullah.
Don't close the gap. Don't close the gap. Hey, number 4. Right.
Gashan Tangaya throws in that time, they get it right, St. Joseph's. Cheka Jaya Warden. And now for the first time St. Joseph's trying to have a go, but St. Peter's body position is excellent. Tangaya at the back, and off goes Tarindu De Alvis looking for a willing runner. That's a lovely pass to Bandaranaike, who scored the try just before half time. The winger does well to get back to him, and good discipline as well from Pereira. And the Peterites flood back to help their winger out. And Ravin Fernando thumps this one as far as he can. Here's Aaron Fernando now. A little opportunity for St. Joseph's. The pass is a terrible one. And now another opportunity for St. Peter's to run this one. Standing up all over the park. Not a lot of structure in that move. And Santosh Algama now opts for the say and a counsel of the kick. It's Fernando. Here's the big props. Senra Pereira, and Tarindu Maduranga has stolen the ball off him. He won't want to see that replay. Maduranga gets up and goes again. So strong. And Algama acting as a scrum half. Shehan Eranda. High tackle, says the referee. The tackle was on Eranda. And here's Tilaka Santosh now. St. Joseph's building a few phases now after throwing the ball away. Russia and Gunawardana. Here's the new man on the pitch, Hasita Vijayasekara. Siobhan Gregory has gone off after contributing. They go short side again. Lovely break by Nehan Pereira. Went under the tackler. It's only a few meters he gained, but vital meters just to push that defensive line back. Nice work that time by Vihanga Pereira it was. St. Joseph's now getting a few phases together. Busting straight through the middle through Tarindu De Alvis. They know what's coming, but they've still got to stop it. And now with a little bit of depth, Aaron Fernando tries to step through the gap. But the Peterite defense is too good. And that was a long advantage that the referee played, but he'll come back for that high tackle on Shehan Eranda. And the guilty man is Johan Fernando. Rashan Gunawardana takes this one quickly. Not sure that was the right decision. He puts the kick in. And it's not 10 meters, said the referee. In fact, it was a late charge on Gunawardana. So, increasing infringements by the Peterites here, and they need to make sure that they don't allow the Josephians back into this game.
That's right. Gunawardana probably a bit lucky that he got challenged, because you have to question whether that was the correct decision. Nonetheless, the Josephians taking a quick tap, realizing their line out is not working today, deciding to just use the pick and go.
Tilaka Santosh, it was close to the line. Here's Vijayasekara with the fresh legs. But that's close, very close. Referee on the spot, inches short of the line. Lovely leg drive from the Josephians there. Hands in the ruck, says the referee. So there have been 3 or 4 penalties on the bounce here. And I think that the referee has no option but to send Vidal Hilmi told to get back in no uncertain terms by referee Priyantha Gunaratne. So the beat right forward pack is without a big defender, and it shows immediately as Shaun Wijayasekara scores the try and looks askance at referee Priyantha Gunaratne. I don't know why, because he's given the try, but Shaun Wijayasekara is appealing maybe to be awarded 2 perhaps for his effort.
So eventually it's a good decision not to go to the line, or the line out rather, deciding to take the short tap, and Josephians just using that extra bulk to go over for their second try. Could this prove to be a crucial point in this game, Shanaka? St. Peter's losing a player to the bin, and St. Joseph's immediately capitalizing to go into the lead once again. So for the next 10 minutes or so, St. Peter's will need to manage with 1 player down.
Yes, it's a crucial point of the game, isn't it, Abdullah? Last time, that came off the post. Santosh Algama puts the sign of the cross. And I think he would have prayed for something a little bit different that time. Tarandidi Alves straight up the middle. It's a good carry by the skipper. And he's the one who created the inroads as Shaun Wijayasekara barged over and proved his point to the crowd. He wasn't looking at the referee, in fact. He was looking at the crowd. And what luck does Santosh Algama have there? Could have taken his team clear by 5 points. Instead, it's just a 3 now. And under enormous pressure, Algama can only get it as far as Senthika Fernando. Nilhar now. St. Peter's going to come into the game immediately. That's a good spot by Shehan Eranda. Doesn't survive the clean out though. He's such a good flanker. Eranda Kalaniagoda. His brother played at centre, but this man has made the number 7 jersey his own for the Josephians. Nilhar now carrying the ball a little bit more purposefully in the second half. They brought their big players into the game, St. Peter's. And Ravin Fernando now deputizing at scrum half. Lovely little step. And Silva is dragged down in the end. And that's a nice run onto the ball that time from Fernando. And again the high tackle is coming. Referee Priyantha Gunaratne has been very consistent in awarding these high tackles. Tenukananayakara knows he's got the advantage, puts the cross kick in. It's not a great one, but in the end, the kick does the job. Sunera Fernando that time taking this ball forward. St. Peter's on the 5-meter line. Now the home fans get their hopes up and their voices on. Now it's the Peterites' turn. They might be -1, but they won't mind as long as they've got the ball in hand. Ravin Fernando. Quick pass out to change the point of attack. Nizran Nilhar goes to the floor. The line is looming, 5 points out. Madhushankar's pass out and into the corner. Will go Silva. Can he get the ball down? Yes, he can. Silva scores in the corner. It was a good finish. He had plenty to do with the Josephian cover defense coming across. But good presence of mind from the Peterites to keep the ball in hand. And in the end, it's a crucial try, and the importance of that conversion will now be felt. Shenal Silva is the man who scores.
Yes, that's right. Again, St. Joseph's paying the price for not clearing their lines from that kickoff. They want all sorts of pressure from that time onwards. And that resulted in that try. Shanaga may not have been immediate, but the resulting plays, St. Joseph's were always under the pump. Algama not finding a good touch from that kickoff. and just giving St. Peter's the opportunity to take the lead once again. 20 points to 18 with Nanakara's conversion to come. You've got to keep in mind that St. Peter's is down to 14 players as well. So real gutsy effort by them to come back immediately from conceding a try, being down 14 players, and scoring a try and taking the lead once again.
Yes, it really has been an outstanding mental effort in this second half from the Peterites, especially after they lost a man. They lost a big man as well. And the conversion goes astray. 12 minutes left on our clock. Shaun Silva set his ears back straight for the corner flag. He was dragged down short of the line by Maduranga, but just couldn't do enough as the winger managed to get that ball onto the floor during his turnaround. In Mount Lavinia, Trinity have scored again to take the lead for the first time in the game by 12 points to 11. Here's a try scorer who had his try cancelled out very quickly. And Russian Gunawardana now will have to use all his experience to make sure they play the game in the right areas and see whether they can keep that title challenge alive. And as we say that, immediately Santika Fernando makes a small mistake, loses his bearings.
It's a wonderful high-hanging kick by Gunawardana. Not going as deep as he did earlier. It was just outside the 22, giving his chasers enough time to put pressure on Fernando, and Fernando just unable to take the ball cleanly. So an opportunity for St. Joseph's. We've approached the last 10 minutes of this game to strike back immediately. The line-out hasn't been functioning at all as well for St. Joseph's. Going for the safe option with no jump. Trying to execute a driving maul, but the Peterite maul defense is very much up to it. But looks like St. Joseph's have managed to wriggle out of that.
Yes, they managed to splinter that maul well. As Gershon Thangaya now steals into the 22. Here's Maduranga. Haven't seen him in attacking positions with the ball too often. That time manages to lay it back. And St. Joseph's are now going for this pick and go option. Latching and driving. Would really have liked to see the ball spread a little bit more, just on a few occasions, Abdullah, because the Peterite defense seems to enjoy this kind of thing. They haven't really taken on the midfield with Himesh Disanaika and Taridu Maduranga, who are excellent ball runners. Have opted instead for a forwards-based game, probably a hangover from last week, where they tried to run and got done by Wesley. Maduranga stepping, staying strong in the tackle to allow his teammates to get to him. Here's Vihanga Pereira now. The pass to him was not good, but he managed to control it well. Rashan Gunawardana to the try scorer. That time a good tackle by Tenukanane Akara, putting his body on the line on the prop forward. And St. Joseph's advancing steadily but slowly. Remember the try that Royal College scored here. After about 60 phases, right from the halfway line, they marched it up and scored. Wasn't enough to win them the game though. But will it be enough today for St. Joseph's if they manage to get close to the line? 11 phases already. The Hornets, watching at home in Maradana and across the world, will be on the edge of their seats here, as will be the Peterites. St. Peter's haven't won this fixture in many years. Will this be the first time? Bilal Hilmi, Ravin Fernando have been on losing sides many times. Will this change for them? Tarindudi Alves not doing anything glamorous at the back, just keeping it nice and safe. And St. Peter's, to their credit, not infringing as well despite having a man down in defense. Tackler not rolling away there, and that was Seshan. So now they've got the advantage. Santosh Algama goes straight through the middle, still going, spinning. managing to stay on his feet. They've got the advantage coming. So Rashan Gunawardena will know that. But Bandaranaike will come back. And the penalty for not rolling away will be available for St. Joseph's. That was very clear that time. We could see it easily on our cameras. And Parindudi Alves now thinks about it. This is a tough call, isn't it, Abdullah? You've got a man down. You've got the momentum. But do you go for the posts? That's exactly what he's doing. Just to try and get the lead. Oh, I don't know whether that's the right call, mate.
Well, you've got to go for points when you have the chance, isn't it, Shanak? And back your defense to do the needful. But from this point onwards, territory is going to be such an important part. You don't want to get bogged down in your own half with few minutes remaining under pressure. The territorial game is going to be so important. Also, another thing, the way today St. Joseph's have used Talindu Maduranga, they have used him in the close inside channels, haven't they? He's been very effective when he's been used in the outside channels in the past games. But today they have been using him to run at the Peter Wright defense from close channels. And Algama makes no mistake with the 3 points to just push Josephians into a 1-point lead. We're approaching the last 5 minutes of this game. The territorial game is now just going to be so important as we have a look at Algama once again. Makes no mistake with that penalty kick.
Well, it was a close run thing, wasn't it? The Josephian crowd behind the goalposts have reason to celebrate, at least momentarily now. Algama kept his cool, and of course you can't charge a penalty, which is why he took his time with that. Tenukananayakkara now. Ball is palmed backwards, so no damage done by Vihanga Pereira. And for the first time in this game, let's see if a team can exit competently. No, they can't. And again, it's the try scorer, Vijay Sekara, who throws a shoulder in.
Number 17. Late charge.
It's a late charge again.
Blocking.
A blocking call from the referee. And
Number 17.
let's go back and see if we can see that again. And that's just absolutely silly. It's a daft penalty to give away and may just have cost his team the game with Tenukananayakkara stepping up from the spot. Well, they're looking to go to the line. I think I would have gone for points there, Abdullah. But they've thought that they will exploit the man advantage that they have. And their maul has been working well.
There's another subplot to this whole game is that bonus point, Shanaka, as well, isn't it? Now I think St. Peter's have got 3 tries under their belt. So we'll be trying to get that 4th try, and if Rahl don't get a bonus point at Reed Avenue, then the league is very much theirs. Very well sacked by St. Joseph's, not giving any momentum to that Peter Wright maul.
Nicely done that time. It's a one textbook way of stopping the maul. And this is heart-stopping stuff. We saw it last week against Wesley as well, but it was on the other end of the pitch with St. Joseph's doing this. Hands off, says the ref. Shehane Randa has been really good today, jackling over the ball, but has also been good in the way that he hasn't allowed himself to give away any penalties.
Last 1 minute to more.
Oh, it's the last minute on the referee's clock. And St. Joseph's have the ball. They'll need to bring in a prop forward. And again, that was Shehane Randa. You watch this burst. Watch Eranda, who manages to force that turnover, Abdullah.
He's been really good at the breakdown, hasn't he, Shanak? He's got wonderful technique for such a tall man. It's never easy for a tall man to get involved in the breakdown, but he just sets himself up so well. Thought that the referee has not quite been on his side on a couple of occasions when he seemed to have total rights to the ball, but he definitely has been a menace to the Peterites today, especially at breakdown time.
His brother Dilshan Kalanayakoda, who played so well for Trinity and CRNFC, is back down from Dubai to watch his brother in the last few games. And it looks like this tally might be getting a little closer if it stays like this. But 1 minute left. Anything could happen, Abdullah. yesterday we had Ben Stokes in, 9 wickets down, and we were never sure of the win. But can Siobhan Gregory, Gershon Tangaya and Tilaka Santosh really give a big scrum for Santosh Algama to clear his lines? Rashan Gunawardena knows that he can't afford any mistakes here. And Tarindu Maduranga, as you said, they've used him in the... Oh dear. They've used him in the closed channels, and Tarindu Maduranga gives the game away, quite literally. Thenukanane, all he has to do is knock this one over with his eyes closed. And Tarindu Maduranga, oh dearie me, I just question this decision making. Why didn't Tarindu Dialvis go off the back? You can see both those speed right players well over the ball. The Josephian arriving players have bound on top of them, which meant that they had the rights to the ball. And is this a dramatic twist late in this game?
Well, Maduranga went into contact, but where were the players following Shanaka to clear that? Found himself totally isolated, and you got to wonder whether he went to ground too early as well. This is a strong lad, could have stayed on his feet a bit longer, enabling his supporting players to arrive, but not the case. And Nane Akara, with this kick, could very well win it for St. Peter's.
That's the game, and that could very well be the league as well. St. Peter's winning this fixture after a lapse of about 4 years. 2014, in fact 5 years, 2014 was the last time that they won. And you can see what this means to the Bambalapitia crowd as they go absolutely wild. It's a 23 points to 21 victory. Absolute heartbreak for the Josephians, who did so well but made some really questionable decisions late on in the game, gave away a few penalties that squandered their opportunities. And Heshan Wijayasekara, I wouldn't want to be Heshan Wijayasekara in that dressing room with Anuranga Walpola at the end of this game. That penalty allowed St. Peter's into the 22. And now they've set up an almighty clash between Royal and St. Joseph's to see who will win the league. We'll bring you the result at Reed Avenue in just a moment to tell you what St. Peter's will need to do. But it looks like they might have done enough at the moment.
Yes, just coming back to the conceding that penalty, Shanaka, again, the exit strategy, isn't it? Deciding to take it into contact, create that extra phase. But if your centre three-quarter is going into contact, you've got to have numbers there. But wonderful bit of work by the Peterite third row to get there in time, claim ownership to that ball, and just managing to extract that penalty under the post. And with that, I think it was pretty much curtains for the Josephians. Absolute heartbreak, as you said, Shanaga. It was so close for them, but it was just not to be.
Cheka Jayawardena, despondent there as he walks back to the dressing room. Abdullah, in the excitement, we haven't named our clear man of the match. Obviously, the game was in the balance right until the final whistle, of course. But good performances on both sides. I think we had Shehan Eranda for the Josephians, who I thought was outstanding, as was Tarindu Dialvis. But in the same vein, we had Thenukanane Akara, who made some good decisions for St. Peter's as well. And that entire forward pack who did very well for the Peterite, Senora Pereira in defence. And of course, Bilal Hilmi, the captain, who I thought did a lot of work under the radar as well. Ravin Fernando made a few contributions, but also contributed a few errors. So who is your man of the match?
Yes, it was a tough call, but I'd like to give it to someone from the pack. Nilhar had a big game, so did Bilal Hilmi, but I just think for his overall captaincy today, I think Bilal Hilmi was very good. I thought he kept the composure of the Peterite team at the correct moments when they were under a lot of pressure. And I think just for his leadership today, I think I'd like to go for Bilal Hilmi as the man of the match of this encounter.
Yes, kept the morale up as well for the team, especially after they lost the man, managed to come through and score. Pointed to the post when he needed to, took the points, went to the corners when he needed to as well, and made a lot of tackles in defence. And the amount of times that St. Joseph's carried the ball forward and kept stringing those phases together, Hilmi managed to make sure that his team were not infringing and made quite a few of those tackles as well. Move from number 8 to flanker, back again. and did a lot of good work today to deserve that for his leadership as well. So outstanding work from Bilal Hilmi and the rest of his Peter Wright team. And my goodness, isn't Bambalapitiya enjoying this?
Yeah, rightfully so, because they were under pressure. They were under pressure many occasions in this game, but they always managed to bounce back from that. And I think a deserved victory on their part. The story could very well have been different, Shanaka, if not for St. Joseph deciding to take that extra hit on the very last move of the game. And maybe if they have passed the ball directly to Algama to just hoik it into touch, the story would very well be different, but it was not to be, and St. Peter's eventually ending up winners 23 points to 21.
It really was an outstanding game of rugby, and that's how close it was, and that scoreline turned around with the last kick of the game, so we had plenty of lead changes in this game. We had St. Joseph's who went ahead early on, then Ravin Fernando who came through and grabbed the lead for his team. And then St. Joseph's went into the lead again and seemed to have consolidated at half-time. But after half-time, in that 15 minutes or so after the half, that's where St. Peter's really came into the game. So there was something said in that huddle. Hilmi would have had a word as well, and the forwards looked rejuvenated when they came on. And it's from that point on that St. Joseph's managed to come into the game towards the last 10 minutes or so. This is the maul that they ended up scoring with Nizran Nilha. And Tenukanarayakar with the all-important conversion. So how important was that kick that came off the post for Santosh Algama? And here's Wijayasekara who scored the try. And unfortunately for him, lost his head, I think, with that try score because he gave away a penalty. And they just couldn't do enough here. Shenol Silva putting his shoulder in as every good winger should and managing to score the try.
There's two areas where I think St. Joseph's probably let themselves down. One has to be the line-out. I thought, again, their line-out was pretty abysmal today. And also their decision to use Madhuranga at close quarters rather than in the wider channels. He never quite seemed comfortable. He was used to take the ball over the gain line, but it just didn't seem to be the game, and it didn't seem to be his game. And in that very last move as well, he just went, and soon as he made contact, went to the ground, and the Josephian forwards were just not quick enough to get to that breakdown, and the Peter Wright third row just pounced on it and managed to extract that penalty. So those are the little things you'd have to say that probably let St. Joseph's down in this game.
Yes, I think they did miss a tactical trick there in this playbook, Abdullah. They did well with that 8-9-14 move, didn't really go to it at any other point in the game, although they did have a few opportunities. And as you said, using your best player as a crash baller, that's probably not something that you want to do, especially when he's such a good runner.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not your natural game as well, isn't it? He's more used to running in the outside flanks, running round people rather than running through them. So just those few occasions and those decisions just prove costly for St. Joseph's.
We need to hand over to Inshaf, who is on hand at the presentation.
What a game it has been. St. Peter's College winning back that silverware after 4 long years. And I have with me the winning coach, Rajiv Pera. Rajiv, first of all, what do you think about the game?
Well, I think it was a tremendous performance by the boys. I think from the start they didn't play to stick to their game plan and they have a lot of fancy stuff. But in the second half, I think they played to their potential.
So Rajiv, talking about that first half and second half performance, your team bounced back in the second half. Talk about that performance from your senior players like Tenukanarayakar.
Well, I think Tenuka had quite a good game, and I think his kicking ability and skills have been developed and improved a lot. So this has been affected very much for the game. And also, I think we played about 3 key players, our prop hooker and the key center. So I think without those 3 guys, I think the youngsters did a really good job to win this game.
Rajiv, you have a win in the final week. Now we are in contention to the league. How does that feel as a team and for St. Peter's College?
Well, I think definitely it's up to the God, because I think from our part, of course, we had done our best and we have been there. So it's up to the decision which is going to be on the next week.
Thank you, Rajiv Pera. Enjoy the rest of the evening. So there you go. That's Coach Rajiv Pera, the winning coach of the Joe Peter encounter. And now it's back to Shanaka at the commentary box.
Thanks very much, Inshaf. A very happy Rajiv Pereira there. He probably doesn't know what's happened elsewhere, but what we can tell you now is that Royal will need a bonus point against St. Joseph's next week to try and win the league. Even if they do, it might not be enough, Abdullah, because try scored might come into the picture. St. Peter's need to win. St. Peter's will play Wesley. Or they're done. They're done actually. They've finished all their games. So we've got St. Peter's rather, who are in the lead. So they've done all they can. They've got the bonus points that they could. They didn't get a bonus point today though.
So this is how it stands, Shaun, because St. Peter's have played all their games. They're on 45 points. Royal are on 40 points. So Royal will need to get a bonus point win, because if they don't, both teams will be on 45 points. And my understanding is then it will come down to the game between those two teams who are on equal points. So St. Peter's beat Royal, which means that if they're on equal points, they will take the league. So Royal have everything to do next week against St. Joseph's. It's going to be a tough task to try and get a bonus point against St. Joseph's. They've got the ability to win it, but whether they'll be able to get a bonus point is something that we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, that's going to be a very, very important tussle. Of course, it's in their own hands for Royal. They don't have to wait on other results, so they go out there against St. Joseph's and play some good attacking rugby, play like they did in the first leg of the Bradby. Perhaps there's a chance that they might do that. Perhaps it's St. Joseph's team, now that they've decidedly not put themselves in a position to win the title, maybe there'll be a mental dip. Maybe they'll come to the Royal College Sports Complex and realize that it's a hurdle too far. So perhaps they may allow Royal in for 4 tries. Who knows? Not that they would deliberately allow it in, but of course they would definitely be mentally a little bit shattered after this defeat, because it's such a heartbreak, isn't it, Abdullah? It's one thing to lose a game when you get thrashed, but when to come back and lose in such unfortunate circumstances with only yourself to blame, this is something that's going to be very difficult to shake off.
Yeah, that's right, Shaun. And for it to happen in 2 consecutive weeks. They were the only unbeaten team just until a fortnight ago, then going down rather unexpectedly to the Wesleyites, and then on today just until the very last moment really going down to their arch rivals St. Peter's. It's going to be interesting to see how they will be able to lift themselves up for that game. But as you very correctly said, everything is in Royal's control now. And it's up to them to whether they'll be able to just get that bonus point and annex the league. If not, the league title will come down to Bambalapitia from Reed Avenue.
So we've got quite a few dignitaries up there. Among them, Mr. Fazal Mohammed on the immediate left, Acting Rector Reverend Father Anton Ranjit of St. Joseph's, Rector of St. Peter's Reverend Father Trevor Martin, President of the Rugby Advisory Committee of St. Joseph's Mr. D.S. Vijayaratna on the extreme right, Sports Coordinator of St. Peter's Father Tirina Pathum, and Prefect of Games of St. Joseph's Reverend Father Milan Bernard, all up there, the presentation party. Is the juniors getting their prizes. Real battle on in Mount Lavinia. Then Trinity might just pull off. Under 14 games, we have the Reverend Father Noel Pereira Challenge Trophy to the under 14ers. Trinity have scored in the dying minutes of the game, and they've taken the lead up to 17 points to 11, so there's no chance that St. Thomas's can come back into this game. So it's a big win for Trinity. The Canon RSC Salem Shield, probably their second most important shield after the Bradby, and they look like they've annexed that after salvaging some pride against Royal last year. So Trinitians will be happy with the tail end of their season. to the junior teams being awarded their prizes. And, so this will be, if they manage to win it, Abdullah, this league title will be a long time coming for the Pete Wrights.
Yeah, that's right. On the back of their league, rather knockout win last year, it'll be a significant achievement for them, especially playing in front of this wonderful new stadium for the first time as well. And it'll be a great achievement, but still there is 1 week to go. Know where my loyalties will be lying next week.
Obviously, because can already sense the intensity, Abdullah, of the Royalists looking forward to next week's game. Here's the under-18s, the Rowan Gunasekara Memorial Trophy. And Mr. Themia Dimel in his blue, white and gold jersey will be a proud man as he hands over the Reverend Father Basil Veeratunga Memorial Shield after a lapse of many years to Bilal Hilmi. St. Joseph's really would have expected them to close out that game, but it was the state of play today, wasn't it, Abdullah? Because both teams, after they scored, just couldn't exit their territory, just couldn't get their patterns right, and just play safe rugby to get into the opposition half and start again. That's been a blight for a lot of schools this season.
Yeah, that's right. The ability to just mentally recover after scoring, isn't it, Shanaka? You're jubilant, but at the same time you've got to realize that there is still a game to be played, and just that ability to switch on and switch off at the correct moment. Some teams just haven't been able to master that, and today's game was a prime example of that. Both teams, once they scored, just seemed to slightly switch off and give the opportunity for the opposition to get back into the game. And that's it. It lent for an enthralling game. It had its ebbs and flows. The lead switched hands many a time. But from an absolute purist point of view, you'd want teams to be really switched on once they score, and especially when receiving the kickoff, to try and just get into the opposition's half and just reduce being under pressure.
The Reverend Father Basil Veeratunga Memorial Shield for the year 2019. Themia Dimel, the chief guest, handing it over to Bilal Hilmi, who is the proud recipient of the shield after many, many years. 5 years calling his team up. And the Pete Wrights, deserved winners here. St. Joseph's will go home and lick their wounds because this game was within their grasp. But St. Peter's hung in there, and that period of time when they had a man down and still managed to score an important try to stay within touching distance and never giving up. I think they showed that the fight that they kept up throughout that game paid dividends. Rajiv Pereira almost unable to crack a smile given the amount of stress that he'd been through in that last 70 minutes or so. But the Joe Pete encounter ending with the Pete Wright flag fluttering a little harder than the Josephian one. And the Veeratunga Shield lifted aloft by St. Peter's in Bambalapitiya to christen their new stadium. And that brings us to the end of our coverage here at ThePapare.com. Abdullah, lots to look forward to next week. Here's the halftime score. St. Peter's were down by 8 points, came back into the game, and just after halftime, that's when the clear man of the match, Bilal Hilmi, read his troops brilliantly, and that intensity was what took them to the win.
Yeah, that's right. St. Joseph's pretty much have themselves to blame after enjoying a good lead at halftime. Just could not maintain that intensity, and more importantly, just not making the correct calls, Shanaka. Also, their line out, I thought, let them down big time in today's encounter. It's an area where they'll need to brush up against Royal next week if they are to pose a threat. And as a result, just going down in the very last minute of this game.
Lots of action coming up for you. The league, of course, still not decided, although St. Peter's have played all their games. We have Wesley taking on Science College tomorrow at 4 p.m. Now that St. Thomas's have lost, there's a possibility that Wesley could climb up to 4th position. DS Bandaranaike taking on Dharmaraja in the plate competition. Also tomorrow at 4 p.m. All those matches live on ThePapare.com. And Trinity taking on Wesley on the 29th of June. That's going to be a cracking game. Two fast open teams. Trinity coming into their own in the last couple of weeks. And that will be a game that a lot of people will find very entertaining. And of course this one, it will be St. Joseph's versus Royal, not St. Peter's. We apologize for that. So Joseph's versus Royal will decide the title. If Royal win with a bonus point, then Royal will annex the title. If St. Peter's manage to hold on and St. Joseph's deprive Royal of the bonus point, then of course the Royalists will win. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one there.
Yes, what a way to end the league. What has been a really interesting league season. We had a big break in between, but some teams benefiting from that, some teams not. But overall, just going into the final week with everything to play for. From Royal's point of view, everything is in their hands. Everything is in their control. So it's a matter of whether they'll be able to get those 4 tries and beat St. Joseph's next week. So let's wait and see how it pans out. Overall, I think it's going to be a wonderful week of schools Singer League rugby next weekend.
Well, one step closer to deciding this league competition. Will bring you the ultimate week of rugby action in the Singer Schools League. Next week from Abdullah Yusuf and myself in the commentary box, we have all our Papare production crew joining us in wishing you a good evening and congratulations to St. Peter's.
දැන් යහපෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රස එකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි?
සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් පුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්ටේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්ටේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා.
පදම වරුනේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්ටේ පදමට ගහට.
සුවිසලි ලක්ක වෙනුවෙන් සෑමංගලක් දක්වාම දහඩිය හෙලීම සැබෑ පිරිමියෙකුගේ ගතියක්. ඔබේ උත්සාහය තියුණු වෙන තරමට ඔබේ ශරීරයේ උත්සාහයට අභියෝග කරයි. මුලින් දහඩිය, ඉන්පසු ග්‍රීස්, අන්තිමක ඉස්හොරි ක්ලියර්මෙන් සමගින් නැගිටින්න කාලයයි මේ. සාමාන්‍ය ෂැම්පූ වලට වඩා දෙගුණයක් ක්‍රියාකාරී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ඔබත් සමග ඉස්හොරි වලට එරෙහිව සටන් වදී. ඔබේ ජයග්‍රහණයට පෙරමං සදන අසමසම ඉලක්ක වෙත යන සැබෑ පිරිමින් වෙනුවෙන්ම සුවිශේෂී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ලොබාංගේගේ මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම no limit.
When she's special, she's not just a girlfriend. She is your sweetheart. When you feel it, you don't just call it sunshine. You call it warmth. When you reveal your deepest emotions, it's not just art. It's freedom. And when its essence is premium cocoa butter, it's not just chocolate. It's Ravello. Chocolate so special, you call it Ravello.
Drift in search of happiness. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
එහා ගෙදර කුමාරිලගේ ලොකුකම අලුතෙන් ලොකු සයිස් එකක් කරා. අපේ එක ඉතින් 32නේ. පිටත් එන්නලු ටීවී බලන්න එහෙ ලොකුවට පේනවයි කියන්නේ.
අපි මොකටද කාගවත් ලොකු සයිස් බලන්න? යන් සිංගර් එකට.
ලොකු සයිස් බලන්න සිංගර් එකට එන්න. ලොකු බ්‍රෑන්ඩ්ස් වල ලොකු සයිස් ටීවී දැන් සිංගර් එකෙන් ටික ගෙවන්න ගන්න. වසර 3ක වගකීම හා සිංගර් අලෙවියෙන් පසු විශිෂ්ට සේවය.
ලොකු සයිස් උනාට ගියේ පොඩි ගානයිනේ.
Okay, she's ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
Impressive CV. But why do you want to work here?
Is your unlimited package limiting you? Be really unlimited with the largest network. Talk unlimited with more than 13 million Sri Lankans with Dialog. Dialog Blaster Unlimited. A range of monthly plans starting from 777 rupees. Dial #678# to convert your package or get a new connection. It's always been my dream to be a part of a blue chip company.
දැන් යහ පෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රසයකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි?
සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් පුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන්ටේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන්ටේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා.
පදම වරුනේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන්ටේ පදමට ගහට.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම no limit.
Stumble upon a surprise. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.